Hey y'all, so I made it. I said I was going to consistently do a video every day, and I have done so. It is Friday. I have made it through. I made it today by the skin of my teeth. Well, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I actually did my first live audio event on LinkedIn. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little worn out by that, but I was like, you know what, Tiffany, you said you're gonna do this video, you're gonna do it. So I'm literally going to talk about the same thing that I talked about on the audio event that I did on LinkedIn earlier today that actually went really well. It was actually pretty cool. I will share with y'all that I'm happy that I stepped out of my comfort zone and I did something different, something that I hadn't done before, and it turned out to be pretty cool. Some people showed up. I talked about some points. I don't like the fact that LinkedIn doesn't give you an opportunity to download the audio, but I enjoyed the experience. So anyway, what did I talk about today? What I talked about was I gave 5 must-haves if you want to be a proactive leader. So I was talking to one of my clients, and one of the things that I was sharing with her is that most leaders are reactionary, and they don't think of themselves that way, but they generally are. Most leaders are living in a space of they're leading to a mission. But the thing is that as they are navigating with their team, they are generally reacting to something that's come up, something that needs to be done, reacting to, like, let's say, maybe there's some metrics that we're trying to reach, right? But there is a way for you to be a proactive leader. And being a proactive leader actually can get you better results from your team as well as from yourself. So I am going to share 5 must-haves. Y'all ready? Item number 1. I have my list here, y'all. I have to give myself some notes. Okay, so item number 1, be curious. One of the things that I learned from going to get certified to coach and, really doing research on leadership is you have to be curious. You really have to want to ask your team questions. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying be nosy and get all in their business like that. But what I mean is be curious about what they want out of the job or what they want out of a project. What are their expectations? What's their career path? Be curious about what makes them tick and what motivates them. Because here's the thing. When you are curious about people and you ask them questions, they feel seen and they feel heard, right? So that's the first thing. They feel seen and they feel heard. So you have to be curious about what it is that the people on your team want. Like, here's the thing. Let's say that you are shooting towards a goal, and a lot of times people think that everybody is motivated by money. People are not. There are some people that are working for you or on your team that they are really motivated by the good that may happen in the community. Maybe you have an amazing product that really helps people, and that's really the reason why they're selling or working for you. Everyone is not motivated by money. So leaders, proactively, I want you to consider what motivates your team, and then go ask your team, what motivates you? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? Ask your team, do you have a 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or where do you see this position or this job taking you? And ultimately, where would you like to go with it? And here's why. You may find that your employee doesn't plan to stay in that position for a long time. But the thing is that if you're a good leader, you should be able to help that person get to wherever it is that they desire to go. Because leaders inspire people to be their best and to live their best life. Leaders inspire change. That's just what your job is as a leader. And so if you can be proactive about it by being curious about your employees or being curious about your team and finding out what really makes them tick, right? What gets them to be the most productive? What gets them to perform at a high level? What is it that they care about? Do you even know if your employees have kids? Do you know if they have a new addition to the family? Maybe they're going to school. You need to be curious. And I will tell you that the last point about being curious is this. Sometimes your employees are like, we take personal things to work. It's a thing. Everybody does it. Even as an owner, owners of businesses take personal things to work. They may not have a whole discussion about it, but they may be wearing the mask of whatever their personal thing is that was happening at home. Right? Maybe your kids are acting up. Maybe it was a hard day with your spouse. Maybe your car got a flat tire. It doesn't matter what the thing is, but you take those things with you into your workspace or into your business. And when you do that, it impacts your performance. I'd love to tell you that we shouldn't do that, but the fact of the matter is we're humans, and human nature is we take our things with us. If you know what your employee is going through because you cared enough to ask, right? When you go into your office, do you ask people, hey, how's your day going? And do you mean it with sincerity? Do your employees or does your staff really feel like you're asking them that because it's perfunctory? Or do they feel like you're asking them that because you really want to know? And then are you actively listening to them? Like whatever it is that they tell you, are you listening and are you understanding that whatever it is that they said might be impacting their performance for the day? That doesn't mean it's going to be impacting it permanently, but it could be for the day. So as a proactive leader, get to know your people, get to know what's going on in their world, get to know what's going on in their mind, because that's the only way that you're going to figure out how you are going to build a plan strategically to get yourself and your team to whatever the common goal is, right? So first thing is be curious. Second thing, be intentional. So proactive leaders are intentional, meaning they plan out they have a strategy, they have a plan, they have conversations, but those conversations are with intent, right? So the question is, are you being intentional as a leader? First things first, are you being intentional about yourself? And are you being intentional about what do you hope to gain from your leadership role? Then the next thing is, what can your team get from you in your leadership role? You have to be intentional about that. Like, I know that I desire to lead in kindness. That's a conscious thing. I am intentional about that. I often stop and think about, Tiffany, you have to deliver this information. But how can you deliver this information in a way that's kind, that leaves a person with their dignity, right? Kindness goes a very, very long way, y'all. And more leaders should lead from a place of kindness instead of from a place of fear. So, second one, be intentional. Third one, be open. Now, here's the thing. Remember I said you have to be curious about your employees, but you also have to have a level of openness. Now, I'm not, again, like my suggestion wasn't for you to get into your staff's business, right? What my suggestion is to have conversations, have really deep rooted or deep intentional conversations to get to know each other so that you can find out exactly how to be better together. And for you, and for that to happen as a leader, you have to be open. Like, you have to share with people what your vision is, right? So if you're a business owner, there is a business vision. Are you sharing that with your team? And if you are sharing it with them, are you intentional about telling them openly how you see them fitting into the vision, how you are going to leverage them to get you to the goal, right? And you need to be open about that. Also, be open about your experiences in leadership. If you failed, share that with your team. If you have some tips or some tricks or some hacks because you've been leading for a while, share that with your team. The more open you are about who you are, your leadership style, that is authentic. And people tend to gravitate towards leaders who lead from a place of authenticity. And that's going to bring me to another one of the moments. But be open. Share with your team. and you share what you want to share, right? Like, but the thing is that share something so that you can make that connection. Your team desires to connect with you. Your team wants to, they literally want to get something from you that they can find a commonality. They also want something to resonate with them, because really good leaders bring out the best in others. I'm going to say that again. Really good leaders bring out the best in others, right? So then the fourth one is be transparent. So have you ever worked at an organization where there was a major organizational change that was happening and no one was really communicating directly? They were giving you bits and pieces of information, right? The truth is, if you are leading your organization or your community or your family, and even if you are leading your business through a deep organizational change, you have to be transparent. Human nature is people don't like change. When things start changing, people start getting scared. They start worrying about, okay, here's some things that they may worry about. Number one, with this change, how does this impact my job, my money, my day-to-day life? Is this going to mean that I'm going to have more responsibility? The responsibilities that you're going to give me, am I capable of them? There's so many different things that people think when change is coming. So as a leader, if you want to be proactive, communicate throughout the entirety of the change. First, tell the change. What is it? Tell people how they're going to benefit from the change. Be honest and tell them the consequences or the downsides of the change. Don't hide it. And then the other thing is be open to have conversations with your team about how they feel about the change. So often leaders go into spaces and they tell people, well, this is what it is and this is what you're going to do. And if you don't like it, you can go find a job somewhere else. That is not the kind of leadership that you should have at your organization. And if that is the culture at your organization, it's going to be difficult for you to maintain employees and retain talent. So be transparent. And then the last thing is to be trusting. So I often tell people, if you are a leader who doesn't trust people because maybe you have control issues, maybe you have, it could be all kinds of things, right? But what I tell people is, if you struggle with trusting people, it's really because you don't trust yourself. Something has happened in your life or in your business life. You've made some decisions and those decisions didn't go quite the way you wanted them to go. And now you feel some kind of way about your decision making. So you hold on to everything very tightly. And it comes across as you don't trust others, because we really are a mirror of whatever it is that we receive. So if you're not trusting the people on your team, it's really because you don't trust yourself. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper on that and say this. The thing that is the most important for you to understand is that as the leader, you're responsible for training your team. You're responsible for making sure that your team has the resources that they need to be successful. So if your team is failing as the leader, it's because you are failing. So to be proactive, you really want to sit down and think to yourself, what is it about me that is causing me to be a leader that is controlling, that's overbearing, that is micromanaging? What is it that's causing you to do that? You need to check yourself first. Right? And then once you check yourself, then you got to start forgiving yourself and understand that we all make mistakes. You're going to continue to make mistakes as a leader or as a follower. It doesn't matter. We all make mistakes. The question is, are you learning from them? And then once you start to understand that, you're going to make decisions based on the information you have right now. Right? And I tell people all the time, one of my favorite quotes is, when the facts change, my opinion changes. And that is okay as a leader or as an employee, as a staff member, that you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to be flexible, and you have to be able to roll with whatever the next thing is that's going to come up. But the thing is that you've got to trust. You have to trust yourself first. If you are an expert and you're a leader, trust yourself first. Trust in your leadership capability, trust in your leadership style. If you don't trust that, then that means that you're not a competent leader, and you may want to go do some things, right? Go get some development. There's all kinds of things you can do now. This is one of those things. I'm developing leaders right here by sharing tips with them. So anyway, I'm going to go over them one more time. I'm going to show you my list so you can know that I was prepared. Okay. So number 1 was, as a leader, be curious. Number 2, be intentional. Number 3, be open. Number 4, be transparent. And then number 5, be trusting. All right, so I am Tiffany Hicks, the CEO of VRE Training Solutions, and I'm so glad that I had a couple minutes to chat with you all today. Thank you, everyone that came on. If you loved it, give me some hearts, leave a comment. Also, if you know somebody that needs to hear this because they need some help with their leadership style, or maybe they are an aspiring leader, tag them in the video and then connect them with me. So until the next time, bye.